Hi guys, it's Dr. Camilla Williams with Living Well. I'm here with another holiday tip for all you perfectionists out there. And today's tip is to prioritize, then delegate. Now, I know this sounds obvious, which is why I want to spend some time going into why it's so hard for perfectionists to delegate anything. But first, let me talk a little bit about how to prioritize. I recommend that you do what I call a brain dump. So you take everything that you have on your mind, all of the things you gotta do, all of the things that you gotta do next week, the following week, and you just dump it all out onto a sheet of paper. Don't worry about the order that you put it in. It's just the first thing that comes to mind, all the steps, and you just write that all down. Then you go back over that long list, and this is where you have to start to prioritize. What are the top 3 things that I have to do, right? The 3 most important things that I need to get done today, maybe the 3 most important things that I need to get done this week. Once you do that, everything else gets put on the back burner. Okay, so your to-do list becomes those top 3 things, because what happens is if you keep making lists over and over again, what you're really doing is writing a stress journal, a stress diary. So it's important to really focus on the first 3. Now, my first tip from my video last week talked about focusing on the process and not the end result or the outcome. That can be one way that you can start to prioritize all of the to-do lists that you have for the holidays. As you go through each of the items, you really need to ask yourself, like, am I doing this because I enjoy the process of doing this? Or is this on my to-do list because of an expectation of a certain result or outcome or what other people want? Okay, that's one of the ways that you can start to prioritize. And so if you did that first step, you can go back and review that video. It'll help you kind of cut down the list. Now, the second part, right, prioritize and delegate, is trying to find the things on the list that you can delegate to others. Now, for a perfectionist, this is so hard to do because it's about control, right? Whenever you delegate, you are giving someone else control over that task. And our brains get all anxious. Well, what if they don't do it? What if they do it wrong? What if they don't do it the way I would have done it? I could have done it better. And it brings up that stress, that anxiety. You see, perfectionism is a way for a lot of us to try to control situations so that we can feel safe and secure. It's actually a way to manage our anxiety. If I do everything perfectly, then I can predict how everything's going to turn out, and then I can feel safe and calm. Right? If I do everything perfectly, then no one's going to get upset and no one's going to fight, and everything will be okay and I'll be safe and calm. And so whenever we delegate, we relinquish a little bit of that control, and we introduce that possibility that things might not go perfectly, and if they don't, then someone might get upset, things might not turn out right, I'm not going to be safe if things aren't going right, especially if you have a history of this is how you managed kind of maybe a chaotic life or an unsafe or unstable environment that you've been in. But it's an important step, which is why I talked about in the previous video this idea of maybe creating new traditions is one way to help you practice letting go of control and that letting go of those expectations. So take a stab at it this week, okay? Make that list, prioritize the top 3, and see if there's anything on there that you are willing to delegate. Now, I know things don't always work out the way expected. I remember once we delegated chips and salsa to a family friend, and they came 2 hours late to the Super Bowl party. Well, it wasn't the end of the world, right? That's the thing. In our brain, we're like, what if they don't do it? It's like it's going to be so bad. It's going to be a catastrophe. Yeah, it kind of sucked, but everyone was so engaged in the game, and there were plenty of other snacks that we survived, and it was fine. And it was one less thing for me to worry about, and now we get to tease them about it. And so that's, in the worst case scenario, you're actually learning to expose yourself and challenge all those thoughts that you have in your head about things not working out perfectly, how it's going to be bad. And you find out that actually things turned out pretty okay. One year, my mother-in-law delegated the Christmas present wrapping to her husband. And we had things were wrapped in paper towels and plastic bags because he forgot and then didn't have enough wrapping paper. It's now a running joke in the family. Like, we love it. It's a funny story, and the sentiment, the feeling was still there. And so don't be afraid to take a chance and delegate something. This is going to be really important for your own stress management and well-being. And remember, you want to prioritize the things that are important to you because you enjoy the process. Everything else can take a backseat. Good luck this week. I'd love to hear in the comments below what was the one thing you challenged yourself to delegate this week. And please follow me on Instagram and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.